Over the last 30 years, for every stage of family life, Focus on the Family has been there for the Christian community. Their mission to nurture and defend the institution of the family, the sanctity of life, the preeminence of evangelism, and the value of children has literally impacted millions worldwide. In November of 2004, Jim Daly was appointed as the Chief Operating Officer and today serves as the President and CEO of Focus on the Family. Jim, great to have you with us today on The Harvest Show. Thanks for your time. Listen, less than 2 months ago, the USA Today and headlines around the world read, Dobson resigns as Focus on the Family chair. How has Dr. Jim Dobson's resignation impacted the ministry, and has there been any change in the direction or plans of Focus on the Family since?
Well, it's good to be with you, and really, externally, there's no real difference. I mean, Doctor, this is all part of the plan of transition that he's thought through for a number of years. This is something that he knew he would hit. We didn't have a hard target date for when the date would come, but he's good at just feeling when the right time for these milestones will be, and this was the time for him to step back from chairman of the board. He wanted to kind of get out of more of the administration, and this will do that for him. He won't have that responsibility, the overall chair responsibility. So we're thrilled with it. Dr. Dobson's happy. I think it's a good place for him. He can continue to write. We're also going to continue. He'll be on the broadcast. He'll be writing the monthly newsletter. And, of course, he's writing Bringing Up Girls, which he's looking forward to completing. So he's still with us and doing a lot each and every day.
Now, Jim, as an organization, though, for Focus on the Family, still staying the course, obviously, but any new inspirations or new strategies with regards to where the ministry may be headed in the future?
Well, you know, one of the things I'm concentrating on, and the whole 1,000 staff here at Focus on the Family, what we're wanting to do is reemphasize marriage and parenting. I found it was amazing Friday when Dr. Dobson announced he'd be resigning as the chairman of the board. That Saturday, we hosted Focus on the Family's largest marriage event ever. Almost 75,000 people in over 500 churches around North America participated in a simulcast. We had a great lineup of speakers. Dr. Dobson provided a video greeting, but that was the extent of his involvement. And people really enjoyed it, and I think we've received a number of letters and testimonies of marriages that were helped, that were saved, and that, at its core, is what Focus on the Family is all about. We also have a parenting simulcast coming up November 7th, so we're looking forward to that as well.
Jim, speaking on the topic of marriage, one of the biggest surprises recently has been the radical judicial decision in Iowa to allow same-sex marriages. And I think we've kind of been conditioned to expect this type of thing from the left coast and the east coast of our country, but not in the heartland. What does Focus present or recommend with regards to the voice of the Christian community and the voice of people of faith, really, and conservative values regarding this battle for the sanctity of marriage?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to stand firm in what we believe. That's something Dr. Dobson's always done and Focus on the Family's always done. We have to do it in a spirit that certainly shows and expresses the love of Christ. But at the same time, you know, Christians should not be expected not to participate in the public square. I think that's the greatest form of discrimination that's out there. Everyone should be able to get their voices heard, including those that support homosexual marriage. I think we got to put it to the voters. So far, 30 out of 30 states have supported traditional marriage. If we can get the court out of it, I think the people of the United States understand what's at stake and support one man, one woman.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of getting the court out of it, obviously I think it was Proposition 9 in California. That was quite a battle waged on the issue of changing the state constitution to define marriage between a man and a woman. It was supported by the populace, but again, here we are. It's going to be back in court again to discuss the constitutionality of it. Do you see an end in sight to this continual back and forth over these issues of faith and issues of values?
I really don't, and I think it's Prop 8 in California. But you know, I think this is going to be an ongoing battle. I think those that support homosexual marriage are very committed to that, and those of us in the traditional family camp, believing in biblical marriage, I think hopefully we won't give up either. And I'm just hopeful that in it all we can still express the love of Christ, because as Christians, that's important for us to make sure that all of us are created in the image of God. And primarily, we need to help people find the cross and understand what it is that Jesus came to do for each and every one of us. So that's critical. At the same time, we don't back up on what we believe. I've often heard people say that we can't use Scripture in the public square. I think that's a mistake, because that is the basis for the Christian faith. If we can't point to Scripture and illuminate the debate in that way, I think we lose. So knowing that God is for family, God is for the traditional family. Jesus himself in Matthew 19 said, you know, a man will leave his mother and father and cling to his wife. And that's right from the Lord's mouth. So it's obvious that God intended marriage for a man and a woman. And I think with love and with compassion, we need to stand in the public square and continue to defend it. And it will be an unending battle.
Jim, focus on the family, obviously the focus on the family and issues surrounding the institution of the family, but also Focus provides a lot of resources to parents with regards to youth and youth resources as well. You guys have been a media powerhouse over the years too. Anything new coming down the pike, so to speak, with respect to Focus's outreach using media to the younger generation?
There are a couple things that we're excited about. They're in early planning stages, but Phil Vischer, of course, who created VeggieTales, we're talking with Phil about creating a children's network through the internet, Jelly Telly, and he's already underway with that, but we're hoping that Focus can come alongside and help him in that venture. So that's one thing, and we're really looking to help strengthen parents in raising their children. One of the unfortunate things that we're seeing is the lack of Christian worldview in teenagers particularly. And the Barna polls and other research data shows that. And one of the projects I'm most excited about, we're filming next month, and that's the Truth Project for college-bound high school students. Mm-hmm. And I think that'll be one of the best things that we do next year as it comes to the market.
Jim, we've just got a minute or two left, and from your perspective, what are the most important issues that we as a community should be aware and prepared to discuss and debate as people of faith? I believe it was just a few days ago, President Obama in Turkey made the declaration, which echoed something he said in 2008 on the campaign trail, that one of the greatest strengths of the United States is that we do not consider ourselves a Christian nation or a Jewish nation or a Muslim nation. We consider ourselves a nation of citizens who are bound by ideals and a set of values. I'm not sure that we all have those same ideals and set of values that the President's talking about. So how can we be a positive voice in this culture clash and culture war that we find ourselves in today?
I did hear him make that statement. It was unfortunate because I think when you look at American history, it's hard to get away from the Judeo-Christian infrastructure and underpinning that this country has enjoyed. And to say that we're not a Christian nation, I think it really misses the historical point. And I think even recent research shows that something like 76% of Americans consider themselves Christians. So on its face, I just think it's unfortunate that the President doesn't recognize Christianity as really the core religious faith of the United States. Beyond that, I think there's coming a time, someone mentioned to me the other day that the 21st century seems to be shaping up as the sister century of the first. And in many ways, that's exciting, but it's also going to be very troubling, I think, because the church is going to be expected to do things in that context that really gets the word out. And that means we're going to have to work in our communities, redouble our efforts, do the things that Christ wants us to do to help hurting people, families, strengthen the church, the front line in our communities, those that are in the trenches every day trying to help couples stay together in their marriages or help families sort out trauma. The Christian community now is the hour to step up. And I'm excited about that, but it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. And the question is, are we ready?
Well, Jim, we want to thank you for joining us today here on The Harvest Show, and our prayers are with you and for all of those that focus on the family. God bless you, and keep fighting the battle.
Well, thank you so much. Take care, and thank you again for having me on.
All right, and The Harvest Show is going to continue right after this.
24 hours a day, prayer goes up from the Western Wall, also called